Supercharged, a podcast focusing on renewable energy and the passion behind the movement. Supercharged is a thoughtful journey through renewable energy sustainability and an integrated lifestyle. Subscribe and listen each week as we chat with thought leaders, influencers, and those who simply choose to live a better way. And hopefully, along the way, you too will be inspired to live supercharged. This is Kevin Pruitt with another Supercharged with my special guest today is Franziska Iseli. Franziska, thanks for joining us on Supercharged, the podcast.
It's my pleasure, Kevin. It's really great to be here.
We've had just a really good chat before we hit the big red record button, but I am really excited to hear your story. But can you just do me a really quick favor? I need you to take your computer and just turn it about 90 degrees.
Do you really want to do this to your viewers?
Our poor viewers, they're missing right there.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Goodness, look at that view.
And then this way we have this view over here. Rosie. There you go.
We have a sustainable dog right there.
We have a very sustainable dog.
Exactly. Well, I'd love for you to share a little bit about Franziska Iseli with our audience.
Yeah, well, where do I start? I'll keep it short because then, if people want to find out more, there's a lot that you can find out online too. But basically, the reason why I sound like I have an accent, as in I do have a very big accent, is because I'm a Swiss Aussie, a Swazi. So I grew up in Switzerland and then moved to Australia in 2005 for the first time because I got a scholarship from my university in Geneva to come here for a year. And then I got stuck here. And when I grew up, I always wanted to work for the United Nations. Actually, I wanted to be a vet first. And then I realized, because I love animals, and I realized that, I can't, see them suffer and cutting them open and stuff, that I wouldn't be very good at that. So then I thought, well, maybe I can do something for the United Nations. I wanted to actually work as, some of your work that you talked before about. I wanted to work in some challenging areas and just go and be on the ground and make an impact. And then I came here and I realized that, we're so far away from everything. I'm in Sydney, Australia. It's not super easy to go to places here. So I ended up in a completely different industry. I ended up working in advertising. That's not exactly, what I was set out to do, although I did study marketing and worked in advertising, doing strategy work for bigger clients, marketing strategy, advertising strategy, and communications and things like that. And then I realized that, well, I'm not really making a big impact here, not the way that I wanted it to be with my life. And so I started my own company with my co-founder in 2009, a company that we still run now called Basic Bananas. And what we do with Basic Bananas is we help small companies, usually small solo entrepreneurs up to 20 staff, small businesses. We help them to understand how to do better marketing so that they can be more successful and have a bigger impact. And I realized my journey from wanting to work for the United Nations, it's also why I moved to Geneva, to then suddenly working in this space, in a small business space. I realized that I can actually make a massive impact through entrepreneurship. So that became my path suddenly, was just running impactful businesses that I know can make a positive impact on the planet, on the people, on the team members. And so that sort of became my mission and my purpose, probably about since 2009, although I didn't probably know it for a few years in the beginning, that is what I'm doing.
I mean, I love that. And I want to circle back and kind of connect those dots between, your business and the impact that you can have through that business. But I'd like to drill down a little bit just to the personal side of things. I mean, you talked about, I wanted to work for the United Nations. I wanted to work in kind of the government sector because you wanted to help, you wanted to have an impact. So what was kind of the driver? Can you look back at your life and think, okay, there was a point in time that I just started caring, about things?
Yeah, it's such a great question. I wonder, And I wonder this a lot right now. This is a completely different discussion. But now that I have also a newborn, I often wonder the whole debate about nurture versus nature. And I
Right.
wonder a lot, are we born with certain things? And I think, yes, we are. And then it's our environment also having an impact on who we are and what we like in our mission. And I think, yes, that also. And so to answer your question, I actually think from a very young age, I somehow, and this must be the nature part, I somehow was probably already born with a bit more solid principles, as in, the things that I stood by. I'm also very stubborn, because when I was very young, I was not in school yet. I always loved animals, as I mentioned, and I didn't want to eat them. But in Switzerland back then, nobody was a vegetarian. It was not a cool thing to do. All my family are meat eaters. I have an uncle who is a butcher. Did never liked him, couldn't stand him. And I just decided as a kid that I don't want to eat meat. And my parents weren't very happy about it. And my grandparents, they all said I'm going to be sick and whatever. Just different values, right? And I just was so stubborn. I'm like, no, I can't eat animals, and the reason is because I love them. So that sort of was in me somehow. I must have been born with a little bit of that. And then also, early on, my mom would recount a lot of stories of how I was always against injustice, any type of
Mm,
injustice, whether it was someone being bullied at school. I was always sort of friends with the really cool kids and also with the really nerdy kids. So I was sort of the bridge between the cool kids and the ones that weren't very popular. And I would hang out on purpose with the people that that were sort of outcast, and then they became a little bit more cool also. So I've always had this, and different stories. I remember once we went traveling to Indonesia with my family, mom, dad, and my brother. I have one brother, and apparently I said to my parents I would like to take my pocket money, which wasn't very much, and just give it to the kids on the streets. I just felt sorry for them, and I just wanted to give them my money. But then obviously, the parents taught me the lesson. I said, well, just giving them money is not going to help them sustainably. It's not a
mm,
long-term solution.
yeah.
So I learned quite early on about these things. But I think, when did I start to care? I think I just had it a little bit in me. I mean, I
Right.
was never an angel. I'm not saying that I was an angel. I was also naughty, and probably um, I wasn't always an angel, but I cared. I did care.
I mean, nothing is wasted. In our historical economy, nothing's wasted. I mean, just even our experiences and the mistakes we've made, whatever it is. I mean, you can look back and see that it's just this mosaic that's being pieced together in life. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you've mentioned the term, and I love to ask this question, because it's so we get such diverse answers with, what does it mean when you hear the word sustainability? What do you think of? How would you define that personally?
That's a great question. Sustainability for me has so many. It is a bit of a word that is being thrown around a lot, and I throw it around too. And I feel like it has different meanings in we can apply it to different areas of life. So normally when we talk about sustainability, we probably talk about the environment, and then in that sense, for me, it's about thinking about the future of our planet. It's about having the smallest impact possible that we can have on our planet. It's about not compromising the future, reducing our footprint, not depleting our resources. So that's what sustainability for me means in the classical sense in
Hmm.
terms of environment. But then I feel like we can use this word and concept also for any area of our lives, with our families, being sustainable with our families, again, thinking about the future of the family, thinking about how we don't deplete each other.
Right.
Yeah, we also in terms of our health. So let's say if somebody is really into being healthy, well, there's a sustainable way to do that, again, by not depleting ourselves, by sort of not compromising the future. So being healthy, but thinking about the longer term also. There's about sustainability also in terms of business. So how can we run a business without depleting ourselves, without
Mm.
ruining our sanity? So that's sort of a common thread, which is about not depleting resources and leaving things better off. But I feel like it can be, this concept can be applied to every area of our lives.
You were the last two interviews I've done related to Supercharged have headed in this direction. The
Oh,
first
interesting.
15, first 14, whatever interviews, it was a pretty well defined answer. It is really amazing that just the last two guests we've had on here have really
Interesting.
talked about it in such a holistic 360-degree manner that says it's not just about the planet, it's not just about external things, it's also about internal things,
Yeah,
internal
definitely.
sustainability. So I mean, I love that. And how does that, I mean, with that, all that in mind, I mean, you've listed off 15 things that, related to sustainability there, but how
Yeah.
does that impact how you live daily? How does it impact your family? Just what does it mean to have that definition in mind and have that kind of personal ethos? What is it? How does it play itself out in your life?
The first thing when you ask this question, the first thing that comes to mind is how this plays out in my life is by thinking about the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle.
Hmm.
So 80% of the time we're good, 20% of the time maybe not so good. But you can apply again the 80-20 to anything. But in terms of your question, 80% of the time in terms of my health, I eat healthy food. 20% of the time, I don't. I might, eat chocolate, and I think chocolate is not
Hey,
that
you're
bad.
Swiss. Of course, you've got to eat
Yeah,
chocolate.
exactly. I'm going to always advocate
Cheese
for
and
chocolate.
chocolate. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. And bread and things like that. So it's like the 80-20 rule, let's say, in terms of everyday living, and then not beating myself up over the 20%. I think that's the most important part
Hmm.
about being sustainable is, look, I'm trying my best, but 20% of the time I'm not that good. Same in terms of being, I really care about the environment. I mean, we just saw here, the view, the ocean. I'm obsessed with the ocean. I love the ocean. It makes me happy, and nature in general. And so 80% of the time, and it needs to get closer to 100, but right now 80% of the time I'm good. I try to not buy plastic things, but I do have plastic, I'm always going to to let people know I'm I'm trying, and everyone can try. And I try to not have plastic. If you looked in my fridge, there would be things that are in plastics because
Sure.
that's how they came in the shop.
Right.
And so 80% of the time I try and take shorter showers. Again, this is a bit of a bad thing for me. I love water, so I have to remind myself shorter showers because it's really not good to waste so much water. And always turning the lights off, bringing a coffee cup to the coffee shop for the takeaway,
Mm.
not using their coffee cups. Unfortunately, in the pandemic here in Australia, we couldn't
Yeah, they
bring
probably cut that
our,
out. Yeah.
yeah. So we had to use theirs. So there's a bit of a personal dilemma. It's like, should I just not get a coffee because
Right.
I'm adding to the plastic waste. And then that's the 20% where I'm like, but I really want a coffee. So then now I'm 20% not good. And so that's how it sort of plays out in my daily life. And recycling, that's I'm probably more towards the 100% good at that. Shopping locally, being sustainable with shopping locally and shopping from small businesses. I definitely, because I work in this space, I much prefer to support small
Right.
businesses.
Right.
I can't buy water bottles, plastic water bottles. I just
Hmm.
can't. I'd rather be thirsty, actually. It's one of these, and it's interesting. We might as well go there, but I feel like a lot of these sustainability practices that we all can do, they can become a habit, like brushing teeth. And I remember a few years ago, buying plastic bottles was normal. I would go to the shop, I'm thirsty, I'm just going to buy a bottle of water because didn't bring my bottle with me. So you know what? It's hot, I'm just going to buy one. And then slowly I'm like, no, this is horrible. Like, how much plastic am I wasting here? And if everyone does the same thing, we waste so much plastic. So slowly I couldn't do it anymore. And now I just can't do it. I can't buy a water bottle. I'd rather either be thirsty or find a tap somewhere and drink from the tap
Right.
because it's a habit. Like I can't go to bed without brushing my teeth. It's become a habit.
Hmm. I mean, I love the 80-20. I love the Pareto principle that you talked about because, I mean, but imagine if everyone lived by the 80-20 rule, what an impact that would have. I mean,
Oh my God.
actually, it's more like 20-80 or 10-90,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
most people are not doing, hardly anything. But one thing I am going to have to do, I'm going to have to ditch the old plastic water bottle. Now that you made me feel bad about
You do. Well,
drinking out of
but
the
but
water
that's the
bottle during the
20%,
interview. That's my
well, that,
20%. That's right.
you know what? I have done interviews sitting here with a coffee cup from the shop. I don't, that's why I don't want to be hypocritical. That's the 20%. But
That's
I
all
have
right.
done, and I'm conscious about it. I'm like, wait a second. I'm sitting here, I don't always talk about this topic, but still, I want to be a good citizen. I'm sitting here because it's about walking the talk. So
Hmm.
I also feel like for our kids, for future generations, if they see me, we're in the media a lot. As you know, you're in the media here. I feel like if kids or people or people that look up to us see me drinking from a coffee cup, it's almost like it's almost giving them permission to also do the same. And the one thing that you also mentioned is I feel like everyone can do a little thing, and even if it's the 10 9
Right.
10%, 90%,
Hmm.
because I think a problem is a little bit that I'm seeing is that people think that we have such a huge immense problem out there. The climate change, the oceans are polluted, there's so much plastic waste, we don't know what to do with it. I can't do anything. That's what people think. It's like, what does one bottle make a difference? It makes no difference, right? But it does. It does. So I feel like sometimes a barrier to entry to being more sustainable is people thinking that it won't make a bloody difference if I buy one more coffee cup. Who cares? And yeah, in the grand scheme of things, maybe it doesn't. But if everybody thinks like that, it makes a massive difference.
And I think that that also applies to business as well. I mean, I know that you
Yeah.
work with small businesses a lot, and so as you're working with them on marketing campaigns, and I mean it is such a hot topic, sustainability, green, doing social good. They're such hot button topics for business today. Not just social media, but just in general. So when you're working with clients, what's kind of your mindset? How are you kind of coaching them through this process?
Yeah, from a marketing perspective and a branding perspective, which is sort of my specialty, it is very interesting to see that looking and studying consumers, especially the newer generations, the purchasing power that is coming into the market,
Yep.
they actually care
Yeah.
a lot more than the older generations. And they are the ones that will become our future customers. Now, if let's say Hannah, she is, a future customer, if she has two businesses to choose from, one that is more sustainable, that maybe doesn't use plastic packaging or is sustainable in whichever way, or is supporting a good cause, and the other business exactly the same product, same everything, that is not sustainable, Hannah will always pick the one that is.
Mm,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
so just in terms of even marketing and messaging and branding, being more being a good business is better for you.
Right.
For you, it's
It's
better
good
for
business.
your yeah, it's good business, it's better for your revenue, it's better for your bottom line, because
Hmm.
people will pick you if you care. And so that's always the first sort of thing that I'd like to impart to other business owners. And then the second thing then is, well, but how, what can I do, which problem should I solve? There's so many problems, I don't even know where to start. And the best place to start is of course to first of all see what sort of business practices you can do internally. So maybe the plastic free stuff, we always do plastic free July, and then it sort of again becomes a bit more of a habit.
Right.
Again, we're not completely plastic free in our offices, but we try. It's a more conscious thing. Or we also do beach cleanups with our team regularly. And then for other businesses, if you don't live on a beach, of course you can't do that. But one thing that I always say you can do is just go and look up United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So you
Hmm.
just Google
Right.
UN SDGs. It will come up with 17 goals that the United Nations has established that we'd like, as a global community, would love to hit by 2030. And there are 17 different areas of concern. And so as a business owner, just look through that and pick and say, hey, I am actually really interested in equality, for example, equality between men and women, or I'm really interested in diminishing hunger, or I'm interested in life below water, which is the one that we usually embrace, number 14, or I'm interested in sustainable practices when it comes to sanitation or anything like that.
Hmm.
So you can find anything under those goals and just go for one of them and see how you can embrace it with your company, or maybe you can make donations or donate time or donate money or be more educational about it. So whatever works for the business.
I mean, I love that. I've asked that question on other interviews, other podcasts about what's one thing that you could do tomorrow, and normally it's more of a personal nature. But I love the fact that I ask you in this kind of in the space of, doing business. What's can a
Yeah.
small business do? And you said, go find those UN, sustainable developmental goals and just choose one. Choose
Yeah.
one that
Yeah.
that kind of plucks at your heartstring and says,
Exactly.
this is exactly what we can do, and make an impact here. So it's been such a pleasure just talking to you and hearing your backstory, and hearing just, I mean, I love the fact that your 80% has a tremendous impact, not just with you, your family, but also in your business and those that you encounter on a daily basis. But is there anything that we haven't touched on you just want to wrap us up with today, and then maybe just tell people where the best place to find you online?
Yeah, definitely. I think just, the last thing I'd say, which sort of ties in with what I mentioned before, the biggest thing is that we all matter. Every
Mm,
single person matters. And even if we think sometimes, oh, if I just do this one more thing, who cares? If I just buy one more plastic thing, who cares? So just that. And secondly, especially for business owners and anyone actually, business owners, parents, leaders, anyone, I really think it's important for us to walk the talk. If we don't walk
mm,
the talk, how are we leaving our next generations? What do we show our kids? I saw the other day, this is a different example, but it's sort of part of impact. I was on the beach here and I saw a guy with a kid, and a dog ran past them. It's totally no issue at all. And the guy obviously doesn't like dogs. It wasn't his dog. And he kicked the dog.
mm,
And I was looking at them and I thought, what are you teaching your son? You're holding your son and you're kicking a dog that runs past you because maybe he was scared or whatever, fair enough. And I'm thinking, what are you teaching your kid? That it's okay to kick animals?
mm,
And so I think it's really, and it's really important, I think, for all of us to just think, okay, what is the impact of our actions first of all, but also what does it teach our future generations? What does it teach our kids, how we behave? And then just do our best. And then the last thing, the third thing is, if every now and then kick a dog, which I hope you don't, you know get over it, and then next time just do it better. Don't beat yourself up for the 20% or however many percent of the bad, because we can't always be 100% good. So
no doubt
every
about it.
now and then we may fail, and it's okay. We just do it better next time.
Well, I certainly want to make sure that we cover where people can find you at basicbananas.com is your marketing agency.
Yeah, so for anyone who runs a business, definitely I would head to basicbananas.com because we have lots of free resources. There's a YouTube channel on that name. There's also a podcast. And then for anyone who is interested in ocean conservation, ocean awareness, we also have a business called oceanlovers.com. So check that out. And if you just want to see what I'm involved in personally in different projects, just go to my personal website. And that's under my name, which is a little bit difficult to spell. It's Franziska Iseli, Franz for zebra, ISKAISELI.com. And I'm sure Kevin will put it in the show
I
notes
will
too.
certainly put it in the show notes. And I mean, I encourage people to check out this really cool video of her riding a motorcycle through Turkey. That is just fascinating to watch. And it made me very, very jealous when I watched it, preparing for this. But Francisca, thank you for just taking the time just to share with us today, and just really just sharing your story in this space that where we talk about renewable energy and really just the why and the passion behind the movement. Francisca, have
It's
a
my
great
pleasure.
day.
Thanks so much. Thanks for everything you are doing too, Kevin. Really appreciate it.